How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome to Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. In this episode, I'm going to be doing another podcast panel, and in this segment, it is called Cosplay Safety and Awareness, and I'm joined here by Colleen Cosplay and Kyra's Cosplay. How are we both doing tonight?
Doing great. How are you?
Pretty good. So again, thank you for coming on to want to talk about cosplay safety and awareness. And also, I guess before we begin, to let the audience know, who are you both cosplaying as, starting with Kyra's?
I am the teacher from My Hero Academia, Shota Aizawa. He's the homeroom teacher for the main class.
And Katie, who are you cosplaying as tonight?
I am Miss Joke, also from My Hero Academia, another pro hero. This is a Valentine's Day design. It's not the canon design. I feel like this is what she'd wear on a Valentine's Day. So that's what I'm wearing today.
Nice. So to begin, starting with Katie, what comes to your mind when you think of cosplay safety and awareness?
A few things. First of all, there's the safety awareness of like you in your own costume and what costumes you are putting yourself in and if they are safe for you. And then there's also the safety of like the environment you are putting yourself in. You know, is it too hot, too cold, unsafe? And then there's also sort of the environment kind of created by the convention and how they're setting things up with accessibility. So I'd say like those are the big three things I think you should be aware of. What you are putting yourself in. Is it safe for you to wear? Is it comfortable for you to wear? What's the environment like? Too hot, too cold? And what is the con like? Is it a space you can safely access? Is it a space you're going to have a lot of space to yourself to rest and all of those good things?
Oh, I most definitely agree, especially if you're gonna go be wearing a big, build cosplay and they don't have like a elevator or escalators and you're, shoulder to shoulder with everyone. Yeah. So question for you, Kyra, what comes to mind when you think of cosplay safety and awareness?
I think Colleen pretty much hit the nail on the head, but I'm in the same two camps. How is what's the con atmosphere like? Are you there with friends? Are you there alone? How far is your hotel from the convention center? And then your own personal safety. Yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes myself by not always taking my personal health in consideration when I'm picking out costumes.
And start going back with you. What is a cosplay safety tip you didn't know back then that you make sure you know now? Starting with you, Kyra.
Definitely picking out a binder from a reputable seller. I way back in the day, the first time I did binding, it was the first big con I went to. I used sports tape, and that was a terrible idea.
The old method.
Anyone? Yeah, because I didn't know any better, and just having a real binder really makes a world of difference.
Now, building onto that, for those who can't afford a binder, what alternative would you recommend?
Definitely getting a binder if at all possible, but if you're really in a tight spot, I have seen people say that they use like a brand new sports bra because they've got some pretty good compression when they're just off the rack, and you can get some pretty cheap ones from like Target, Walmart, $10. Doesn't have to be anything serious.
I mean, it works. It's better than using, the old bandage method because you won't be able to breathe basically.
Nope.
Mine go before I'll go back to you on that one. For you, Colleen, what was the safety tip you didn't know back then that you make sure to know now?
I think a big part of it was just taking cosplay accuracy in how it relates to my physical health and just throwing it away.
Oh God, yes.
When I was a baby cosplayer, I was like really worried about accuracy. And the thing is, I'm also a disabled cosplayer. I have a disability and I need mobility aids to help me get around the con safely. And when I was just a baby cosplayer, I was like, this character doesn't use mobility aids. And like, I'm really sad that I was ever in that mindset. And I would do a lot of things that are unsafe, like not using my mobility aids just because I wanted to be accurate, and now I've learned. And the biggest thing is like, it doesn't matter if Miss Joke doesn't use crutches, because I do. Okay, so like, if there's cosplay accuracy in terms of your own physical health, it do not matter. Like, it's great if you want to be accurate, but you need to be safe first.
Oh no, definitely. What was the very first cosplay that you did that you feel like you didn't require your mobility aids? That was like you wanted to make sure was accurate to the character.
Um, if I understand your question, it's like the first time I used mobility aids with cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like, it wasn't really like one like first time. There's this whole journey you have to go through with getting confidence to use mobility aids. I was very ashamed of using them at first, especially being a young person with a disability. The first one I can really recall is my BB-8 design, the little droid from Star Wars, obnoxious orange color. The thing is, at the time, I had one of those huge knee braces, like you use for ACL tears or whatever.
Right.
Cartilage damage, but it still helped. And it was this ugly orange color, and like nowhere sold it in anything other than this obnoxious orange color. And I hated it. And I would always take it off for photo shoots. But then I cosplayed BB-8, who was also an obnoxious orange color. And I was like, it's meant to be. So I left my knee brace on. And from there, I was kind of like, oh, maybe I can kind of incorporate my mobility aids a little bit while I get more comfortable, gain a bit more confidence. And now that it's been a few years, I've learned a lot. Now I just use my mobility aids with everything because that is what's most comfortable and safe for me.
It makes sense. Now from an awareness point of view, what was something you weren't aware of back then that you are aware of now? Starting back with you, Katie.
I feel like when I was a baby cosplayer, I just never considered the weather or where I was going or how long it when you're a baby cosplayer, you make your lineup and you're like, I'm gonna be this cosplay because it's my favorite, and you only have like 2 cosplays to choose from anyways. So it's like, I'm gonna cosplay this. And it just never really crossed my mind that it was like 12 degrees outside or something. And it never really crossed my mind that like, oh, I need to like, get 2 or 3 blocks to get to the con, or I'm gonna need to get food. So now that I'm like have this cosplay arsenal and a lot more experience, I actually plan out warm cosplays for winter cons. You have cosplays for your summer cons too. Like that was a big thing because I see baby cosplayers all the time wearing like just freezing every winter con.
Like they're cosplaying like Riku from Final Fantasy X, and it's like 20 degrees below or something.
Yep.
And I think that's that's something any cosplayer should be aware of. Also, if you get the chance, look at what the weather's going to be like for that con, and try to plan ahead if you can. I know it's not always easy because weather always changes sporadically. But yeah, no, I just can't imagine going to a con wearing like a warm like type character and it's like really cold and vice versa.
Oh, it's awful. You either sweat buckets or you're just really, really cold.
Freezing your ass off, basically.
Yeah, or both. Sometimes you'll actually be freezing outside and then you get in and you're surrounded by people. Well, I mean, before 2020, you'd be surrounded by people and you would just sweat buckets and then you go outside again and it turned into icicles. Like,
been there before.
What a time. What a time when I used to do that. Like, wow.
Dress for the weather. What a concept.
Oh, boy. Wait, cosplayers do that? Same question for you, Kyra. What was something that you weren't aware of back then, but you are aware of now in terms of cosplaying?
Probably just listening to my body in general. I usually bring multiple costumes for any given day to convention because I've found that after a couple hours, regardless of how comfortable my costume is, it will start to like rub and there'll be weird pressure just because I'm not used to wearing it. And so I will have to go back and change. And even just changing like where the seams are on my body, where the pressure is on my body, it can just make a world of difference. And I'm suddenly so much more comfortable afterwards. I used to really stick it out for hours and hours and hours, and that was not a good idea.
I mean, I've heard stories where after someone like gone to a con, they're wearing them fancy boots or heels, you know, there's like no circulation in their feet and stuff
Ugh,
like that.
yeah. I don't know how people do it in heels. That is, no, I'm not doing that. Absolutely not.
Well, I mean, I think I agree. I think because like both of you said, I think the one thing that really matters in a cosplay is comfortability and mobility. You know, if you're able, if
Definitely.
can you, are you feeling comfortable in the cosplay? Can you move around in the cosplay?
Hmm.
Which actually brings me to one. I will have to say, Colleen, I think it was pretty cool that you were able to get that con to have a ramp for its stage.
Yep, before they canceled.
Well, oh yeah, that was a fan. That was
Girl.
a Fan Expo Portland, huh?
Yes, yes.
I guess I'll get on top of that since that is kind of pertaining to both cosplay. I think disabled cosplayers should have the right to, you know, be on stage just like every other cosplayer, because that's technically, you know, something people should be aware of.
Yeah, and I also think that comes back to the safety too. So for the people who don't know, which I'm assuming is pretty much everyone watching this, I'm a cosplayer, disabled cosplayer. I perform with my wheelchair, either as stage walk-ons or I do adaptive dance. So I applied to be in the contest at Fan Expo Portland. In their cosplay contest, and I was denied a wheelchair ramp. It's not the first time I've been denied a wheelchair ramp at an event. It's just where the world is at right now, you know. So I think it's really important, not only on like, you know, having the ramp just to be inclusive and having the ramp so disabled cosplayers feel welcome, but also from a safety standpoint. When they couldn't get the ramp, I saw a lot of people saying I should just have someone lift me onto the stage. And while that seems
Oh,
like,
That's
to
not
some
safety. That
people,
that's a safety risk, not just for the person who has to lift the cosplayer up, but also a safety risk for the cosplayer.
yeah, exactly. So I know a lot of people were like, oh, if they don't give you a ramp, just get someone to lift you. And the reason that's not a great response is because it's not super safe to lift someone, especially because a lot of mobility aids, like my Tie-Lite wheelchair, are valued at like well over $2,000. So, and yes, so if
That's a lot of money for a wheelchair.
that's like not even a super expensive one, but pretty much all lightweight wheelchairs are very expensive. So even if I was just to fall a small distance in the chair and it damaged the frame of the wheel, my wheelchair would be unusable to me and I would be without a mobility aid for some time. Let alone, you know, the dangers to the person lifting someone in a wheelchair or even just lifting someone without a wheelchair. And you know, a lot of people kind of were coming up with these ideas of basically anything else they could do besides getting a ramp, just to be like, well, if they're going to discriminate, you might as well like figure it out. It's like, no, that's not the solution. The solution is for them to not discriminate in the first
I mean, a
place.
lift ramp, something that makes it easier, because, you know, I mean, like a
Yeah,
cosplayer who's in crutches, yeah, they can make it up probably like 3 flights of stairs, but, you know,
but it's
for
not safe.
oh no, it's not. It's really
Yeah,
not. But
yeah. And
anything.
when I was on crutches, I did. Like when I was using crutches and my knee brace, back before my disability had gotten quite so bad, I was still going upstairs and going downstairs because I didn't want to have to fight the convention for a ramp, because it is a fight sometimes. And I think that's a big thing, that just being aware, like if conventions could be more accessible, because you know, a lot of disabled cosplayers will actually put themselves in danger to be able to compete or access certain events simply because there just is not accessibility available, whether that be like wheelchair ramps or access to certain spaces.
All right. Now with you, Kira, I imagine you've done like some pretty big build cosplays. Ever had any issue with like with big build cosplays getting on the stage and everything? Because I know sometimes the stairway's not like big enough for certain big cosplays.
I haven't had that issue in particular, but I do prefer to use the ramp at contests simply because it's so dark backstage that you can't always see the stairs. Even though I have no problem taking the stairs, I'm totally able to do that. But yeah, it's really dark sometimes and you just have no idea where you're going. And then I also have super bad stage fright. So in order to keep myself from getting way too anxious and hurting myself on accident, I will usually take the ramp. So like ramps are a great idea just in general. Like if you've got wings or a floor length dress, or a mobility aid, like those are like all reasons to have a ramp.
I wholeheartedly agree. I guess now, back with you. What sort of advice would you want to give to a first time cosplayer who's thinking about going to their first convention or cosplaying for the first time and they don't know what to really do? Start.
Becky?
Back on me or Colleen?
I guess Kyra first.
Well, I mean, I think it's probably been said 1,000 times, but it is important. Definitely make sure that you've got comfortable shoes and you have snacks and you know where the bathroom is and you've got water. I mean, just it's so basic. Everyone says it, but it really is important. I tend to not eat when I'm at conventions. So what I do to make sure I do eat is I will go to the store and I will pick up a 2-pound bag of gummy bears, and that will be my snack for the whole weekend. And if I see any friends like, hey, do you want a gummy bear? And at least then, you know, I've had something. They're so easy to eat. You have a couple at a time. You have some water, you take a couple sips with it, and then, you know, by the time the day's over, you've at least had something.
Mhm.
Oh, I completely agree. You know, that's, you know, not just like a convention safety thing, but it's also a cosplay. You want to, you know, like, again, back to the comfortability and everything. You definitely need to be stay hydrated, especially if you're in like a warm big cosplay and you can't really,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
or especially if you're even like in a fursuit, you know.
Oh,
Oh,
geez, I can't
definitely.
even imagine.
I don't know how they do it, but
I
they
don't know.
somehow do it. I have to give props to fursuiters who, you know, just wear those big massive suits and just can chuck on through. I remember seeing this one at a con back in 2019. They had like a little those fan necklace things that they just kept on putting in their mouth to stay warm. They're cool. I mean, cool. I mean, same question for you, Colleen. What's the advice you would like to give to a you know, a new a cosplayer who's new to this?
A lot of the same things, you know, hydrate, eat, take care of yourself, but also like don't load yourself up too much. Like I feel like when you're first going to a con, you want to see like all the panels and all the contests and go to all the dances. And like I like to plan in breaks. This is like I think a lot more pertinent to people with chronic illness, but I think applies to also everyone as well. Don't load yourself down too much. Take breaks to eat, drink. I try not to put more than like 1 or 2 events a day. And the other thing is like there is like literally no shame in changing into normal people clothes and coming back to the con out of cosplay. Like you are allowed to go to cons without wearing cosplay. Plenty of people do it. And if you're at the point where it no longer feels safe, you're no longer feeling good, like I've come back to a con in regular clothes just to enjoy that panel I wanted to see, and that's 100% okay.
Well, you just answered that question. No, but to Colleen, have you ever had to? And I don't know if this would be really considered something, you know, be safety and or aware about. But con crunch. What?
Oh,
I mean, from Kira's, I can tell that So I guess the question is, because I've asked this a few times. So, you know, say you haven't got your cosplay finished yet before the con, like, you know, days before the con, and you still haven't got finished, like a day before the con. Would you recommend, you know, if it was like needed, would you recommend bringing a secondary cosplay with you if you haven't had a cosplay finished yet before the con starts?
I just want to start off by saying that I was still sewing on this dress 20 minutes before this call.
I saw your post on Instagram.
Like I was like literally sewing this costume this morning to finish it up. Yeah, con crunch. It's awful. I do it every single time. I hate myself every single time. I think it's definitely worth it to bring a backup. Usually, like, so because of my disability, I don't have enough energy to do 2 different cosplays in a day. Like, if you're able to do that, fantastic. But for me personally, if it comes to it, I'd rather just come back in regular clothes and not in cosplay at all. But I definitely think it's worth it, or even just having a backup, just so you don't feel stressed to con crunch, like having another outfit that you could wear instead. Like I could have picked a different outfit to wear for this podcast, but instead I was like, I'm gonna finish this
You were
one.
basically in a way con crunching yourself to, to show it off
Yeah.
for this podcast. That makes perfect sense. Same question for you, Kira. Ever had to deal with con crunch for a cosplay, and did you ever bring like a backup cosplay just in case you couldn't get the one cosplay finished before con?
I really want to say I have not had experience with con crunch, but that would be an absolute lie. Colleen and I are both really familiar with con crunch.
Very
Unfortunately.
familiar.
Yeah, I've definitely had experiences with con crunch, and there was one year where I was finishing up something in the hotel room. The con is happening, and I'm here like hand embroidering something. Freaking hated it. Hated the costume. Wore it that one day. Never wore it again. Hated while I was working on it. Another costume. It was Tifa, Advent Children Tifa.
Oh,
And
there's like a lot of work in that.
it
'Cause
was
that's a lot of leather.
yeah, yeah, great. It was awesome. But I had really, really, really wanted to get this costume done because I was like, I've booked a photographer, 2 photographers to shoot this costume at the con. So I feel like I have to get it done. And I did. I did get the costume done, but the shorts were this like really cheap pleather material and they shredded throughout the entire day. So the costume was unwearable after the 2 shoots I did. So just save your please, 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 please save yourself the stress. Plan backup costumes. I don't care if it's a Kigurumi or like my go-to right now is Aizawa. I wear him all the time. No shame.
Really well
Repeat wear
done.
your
Really done,
costumes.
Aizawa, by the way.
Thank
Really,
you.
really good job.
Is-
Really good job on the facial hair.
Thank you. I used liquid eyeliner and eyeshadow. It was very
It
not
works.
professional.
I mean, it works, especially if you don't want to, waste the time and money to, buy the fake,
For sure.
yeah.
I think I'm gonna go that route at some point and ventilate it myself. I think it'll save me a lot of time. But yes, definitely like have a backup. Don't stress yourself out like this. Just reach out to the photographer. Honestly, like they're gonna be able to change. It's not a big deal. Like you are paying the photographer to shoot whatever costume you show up with. They will change. It's going to be fine.
I know, and a lot of photographers are understanding about that too.
Yeah, for sure. And like the last time I pulled out of something, I mean, like the con ended up being canceled because of COVID, but Sakura Con,
Damn you,
April
COVID!
2020. I know. It's ruining my life here. But March 2020, it's like a month out from the cosplay contest that I said I was going to compete in, and I had to send them an email. I was like, you guys, I can't do it. I have to pull out of the cosplay contest. And as much as that pained me, because I always want to be involved with the costume contest in some capacity, I was working full time. I was doing school at the same time. There was no way that I could like feasibly pull this costume off to the level that I wanted and not change all these other things that were happening in my life. And just it's so nice when a lot of that stress is removed. Like I've never con crunched on a piece and loved it afterwards. It's always like, oh, I have to like fix that later. No, I don't fix it later. I throw it in the garbage. Don't do that.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That brings me to something. It's a podcast panel someone wants to do later down the road. It's like going green in cosplay. It's like cosplay upcycling. Like if you have, I don't know if it'd be considered really a safety or awareness tip. But if you don't have a cosplay that you don't like wearing anymore, do you just throw it away, or would you like sell it to someone who's looking for that exact character to cosplay as?
I have I have done this recently, actually. I told Colleen all about it. The last couple of months I have gone through my entire closet and I must have gotten rid of like 20 outfits. I think I have 3 complete costumes in my possession right now. 10 plus years of cosplay and I'm down to 3. I lost it. It was a lot of depression.
I imagine it's a common thing.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I felt like I lost it a little bit. But yeah, I'm part of some cosplay sale groups on Facebook. There's an app, Lumika, which is specific for cosplay sales. I'm on those 2 platforms and I'll list my costume. And usually I do try to sell the costume so it can like not end up in a thrift store. I don't really like that for my costumes, even if it's just like a plain clothes outfit, like I did Ellie from The Last of Us 2. I mean, like, that wasn't something I was able to sell because like it just there wasn't enough substance, if you will, to the costume, but it was still a bummer to donate it because I was like, I still went through the effort of like getting all these pieces together
Make
and
it
they
look
are
like
still
it's
technically a
accurate.
set. Right.
What is was it Ellie from The Last of Us or Last of Us Part 2?
Last of Us 2.
Okay. And that
So
would be
I do,
her blue shirt one that she wears.
yes.
Okay.
I do tend to try and sell my costumes. I do tend to sell them. I do tend to like price them to go because by the time that like I'm done with them, I just want them out.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had a lot of success with that, pricing them really cheap and just like, hey, cover shipping and it's yours. But if all else fails, I usually send it to the thrift store. And if it's really screwed up, like Ellie, like no one wants a cut up shirt with like who knows what kind of weird brown and red liquids on it. That goes in the garbage.
Like, what were they What were they doing?
Yeah, exactly. What happened in this shirt?
I've seen, like I said, I've played The Last of Us 2, and I've seen her. She's got blood, dirt, who knows what else.
Who knows what?
No. Yeah, no. So one of my favorite questions, I know if anyone's heard my my Get to Know That Cosplayer interview series, one of the favorite questions I ask, and I'll start with Colleen on this one. Have you ever had a cosplay mishap, whether you're getting ready for the con or you're at the con and something rips, tears, falls off, breaks, snaps, you name it? Ever had to deal with that?
You know, I'm gonna suggest cause tests. It's a word, it's a thing. It's where you get into the costume before the con. So, like, I used to not do this. Like, I used to just, like, the very first time I wore that whole costume together was at the con. Terrible idea. Wear it all together beforehand. So then if something breaks or is uncomfortable, or, you know, if you have, like, one little thing that's poking you the entire time, you could fix it. The only, like, mishap is I did it like once in my life wear a ball gown. Probably never again because ball gowns and crutches just did not mix as well as I wanted them to. But the tie for the hoop skirt broke. And I think we had to cut me out of it. Like we like retied it. It was a cheap one off of Amazon, like of course.
Jeez, but
Yeah,
how did it get cut out of that thing though?
Well, it was just the waistband. But yeah, we tied it like really tight because it kept falling down, and then it got stuck and we couldn't get the little thing untied, and we were in a con bathroom like chopping through this string on my waistband. So yeah, cause test everything, try it on, even if it's just to like take pictures in your living room or something. Like it's something that I've started to do. It's especially important with like the mobility aids too. I made a Supergirl cosplay with a cape and I did a test run to make sure
really well done, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yes, sometimes my wheelchair, his name's Walter, sometimes he gets hungry for like dresses and stuff. He takes a little snack. So I like to at least try it out before the con, and that is something highly recommend. So I've had actually very few mishaps. I feel like it's just that hoop skirt one, which like wasn't really even a problem because it was the end of the day. It was just I couldn't escape from it.
I remember you telling me when we last recorded this, when you cosplayed as Supergirl, and this will be another question brought on to this. You said when you were like making poses, someone thought they were trying to be helpful by swishing your cape back and forth.
Yeah, please do not touch cosplayers or like any human. I feel like this is supposed to be like common etiquette. Don't touch other humans you don't know without permission. Like leave them be. Like just don't, like I don't walk around just touching people. But yeah, it's definitely a bigger thing within the chronic illness and disabled community. A lot of people think they're helping, so they'll just kind of like touch you or your mobility aids. I had one con where I was wearing Supergirl and I was posing with the cape, and someone just stopped and like grabbed my cape and started like posing it for me, and I was like, "That's not the pose I'm doing." And they're like, "Oh, I'm just helping." I'm like,
You're not helping.
You're really not. So yeah, and that's like, don't touch other humans. And also, if other human is trying to touch you, there's something called con security or con staff, and that is the person you can go to and say, this human is touching me without permission. And that is another safety tip, because that's what they're there for. They're actually at the con just for your safety. That's like their job there. So
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
realize that.
Back to Kyra with the cosplay mess up. Aside from your Advent Children Tifa, have you ever had any other cosplay that bent, broke, snap, whether it be the cosplay or the prop? Because I remember you telling me something about your Aloy staff.
I feel like something goes wrong every year. Oh man, like once a con, I have a problem. So the repeat offender is the spear that goes with my Aloy cosplay. It was the first time I had worked with like a 3D printed prop, so I used the wrong glue. Lesson learned, we're not using that glue again. And every single time before I got on stage with that spear, one of the seams would snap. And oh my God, it was outrageous every single time. Like, I had a friend who was like dressed up in this like Victorian Totoro dress, and they're just shuffling as fast as they can from backstage over to cosplay repair. And they're like, help, 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 someone has a broken spear backstage. They're just waddling back with help. And I'm like, thanks so much,
that's dedication right there. Running
True friendship.
Running in a Totoro Victorian dress.
I know, it was so funny because that was the year too. It was KomoriCon 2019, and I was like, okay, this time, it's definitely not going to happen this time. It's not going to happen. Spear is in a safe place. It's on a table with nothing else on it. It's fine. And then someone walks up to me and goes, "Sorry, I knocked your spear off the table." It's like, you gotta be kidding me! What are you talking about?
Oh, geez.
I mean, besides that, there was another time where I cosplayed Link, and to like, you know, he like wears his shield on his back, and to like get that same effect, I took some backpack straps and I made my shield like it was like a foam sandwich. There was foam in the middle and there was wood on either side. And to get these straps in, I took a staple gun and I stapled these backpack straps in. Listen, terrible idea. Don't do it. The straps were popping off all day. It was horrible. Oh my gosh. Catastrophe.
It sounds like just it sounds like you and props just don't get along.
Oh man. Yeah, okay, me and prosthetic chests too, okay? We had some interesting mishaps.
Oh, I mean the
KomoriCon 2021.
The fake silicone chests.
Yeah. So KomoriCon this year, last year?
Yeah,
2021.
Yeah, last year.
Had a rule. They're like, hey, we don't care what gender you are, if it's fake or not, we have a no nipples policy. So I'm there with my friend who's dressed as Kirishima from BNHA, and he is shirtless, and we're like, well, crap, what do we do? You've got a silicone chest. Okay, let's like go get you some pasties or something. Let me tell you, nothing sticks to latex. So we ended up having to like wrap a big strip of tape around their chest and put some little stickers on the tape to make makeshift pasties. Like, outrageous. The things that can go wrong. Please cause test. Please do cause test.
Never
would have known this ahead of time.
I've been to cons where I've seen a guy cosplay Captain Underpants, and this is a well-known con. They didn't say anything about, and his nipples were showing. Another guy cosplayed as coming off from Gurren Lagann, shirtless, everything, you know, nothing. But
I don't know. It's really hit or miss sometimes, I tell you.
But and you would know, you would think that, hey, that's a fake chest. There's no way that's a real chest, because I've seen like I've seen the silicone, I've seen the silicone boobs, silicone chest, and you can see like I know some cosplayers, especially Lady Dimitrescu cosplayers, they have a way of hiding that neckline.
Yeah.
Is it easy getting in and out of those things?
I have not personally worn one. I'm probably gonna die on this hill of never wearing one because they're just like so horrible and gross and sweaty. But I have, you know, been part of the process of getting someone into it.
Oh yeah.
They are super, super stretchy. So that was something I was not expecting. They're super stretchy. So like I was able to open the neck hole and it's like, woo, way past my shoulders. I was like, okay, wasn't expecting that. But you do have to like seriously baby powder yourself up, because if you are like, there's like any moisture on you, you're gonna get stuck.
Same with if you were to cosplay like Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man. Now with Colleen bringing it up, cosplay, and I know everyone this cosplay does not equal consent. Anyone here, starting with you, Colleen, ever had to deal with a cosplay is not consent issue aside from that Supergirl cape incident?
Trying to think. I don't really, nothing that was so awful it's sticking in my mind right now. Like I'm sure there are people who have just like given me like a hug in passing and I've forgotten about it. But what I can suggest is if you are worried about this, bring a buddy, bring a friend. I have never attended a con alone. I usually attend with my husband now. I used to attend with my family members. I used to attend with my dad. You're never too old to go to a con with your parents. So take someone with you, because like guys just don't like, I mean, okay, I guess I'm generalizing and saying guys because that's who I've had the most problems with, but I guess humans in general don't want to like make a move when your dad is right there. Like,
I mean,
and similarly, people don't make a move on me when my husband is standing right there either. Like, so it doesn't have to necessarily be, you know, someone of that relationship, but just having another person with you is so much safer. You know, you have another person there to kind of watch you, you can watch them. You know, it's just so much better to have a person, and you can take someone with you. If you're doing like photos or someone asks for photos, you can take a person with you. If they say no, that is a red flag. Just don't even bother going. Basically, there should be no place that you can't take someone with you. And if anyone says that you can't, that is a red flag. And you should just be like, sorry, I have to stay with my buddy. Always be, if you can't be with that person all the time, always be in good communication with like cell phone, text, whatever, maybe have meetup spots. But I have never once attended a convention by myself, and that has saved me like so much trouble. So like I cannot stress enough, go with a buddy.
Oh yeah, no, as I've always said in previous interviews, always, you know, I always ask about, you know, do you have an exit buddy with you, to quote Crush from Finding Nemo. Same question for you, Kyra. Ever had to deal with a cosplay is not consent issue at any con you've attended in your past 10 years of cosplaying?
Nothing regarding like physical touch necessarily, but I do have to agree with Colleen that you should always have a buddy. My sister usually cosplays with me, and our motto is cosplay is a team sport. And that usually applies to like getting in and out of binders, you know, getting like painting the back of...
cosplay twins.
Yeah, for sure. Or like my sister does a lot of face paint. She needs someone to paint the back of her neck, but it applies on the con floor too. While I haven't had any like weird physical touching experiences or like unsolicited like photos, I've definitely been in some weird conversations. And if you're with people who are familiar with you and you're, you know, if you're just with friends and whatever, you can at least kind of like give them the horrified eyes of help me, I can't get out of this conversation.
Stranger danger.
Yeah, I've definitely had one or two of those, and I'm always like, oh look, Colleen, help me out. Hey Melissa, help me out. It's so funny because like even if you're pretty good at setting boundaries, sometimes you're just so caught off guard. It's just deer in the headlights. You're like, what? What?
It happens, and I hate to say this, I'm not, you know, trying to sound sexist or anything, but I've noticed it happens more towards female cosplayers than male cosplayers.
In my experience, that does seem to be the case. I think it might be partially because I think there are more, at least female presenting people who cosplay, so I think this just like we're a bigger group.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, back in the day it was just mainly men in their 30s and 40s cosplay, but you know, over the years it's got to be more female cosplayers. So when male even just congoers see that, it's like, ooh, well, these women are cosplaying my favorite character. I'm gonna go to them and talk to them and harass them, even though I may
Yeah.
have good intentions.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good point you bring up though, because like while the most, like physical incidents I hear about are like involving male presenting folks, like just make sure you're aware of everybody, because the weird conversations I have been with female presenting people, and just sometimes the tactics are a little bit different, or you're like, oh, they're a fellow cosplayer, it's okay, they're safe. No, just because someone's cosplaying does not mean they're safe.
I mean,
No,
that's
it's like,
why you don't
we're
see
done with
that's
you.
why you don't see yaoi powders or glomp circles at cons anymore.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like not deep into the con scene during that time. Like I was still just going my deck.
I feel like
stories.
Kyra's familiar with it though.
I'm familiar with glomp circles, yeah.
That's I mean, that's kind of like not just a convention thing, but a cosplay safety thing too. Like you
Yeah.
may see your favorite, you may see someone cosplaying your favorite character, but don't go up to them and just start jumping on them, because that you're not only gonna hurt them, but you could also
Yeah.
damage something that they're wearing or a prop that they have.
Yeah,
Next
definitely
next
don't
thing
do
you
that.
know, your cosplay you spent months on is like broken or bent, and then that prop of yours is just like broken into pieces on the ground.
I'm not gonna lie, that is something that crosses my mind every time I make a costume. I think, if I get smashed into a wall, or if I trip, or if I get tackled, is this going to withstand this kind of force? And it's totally ridiculous. But like, yeah, please don't clump people, don't touch people. Just ask, like, you're gonna throw out my back, you're gonna break my shoulder armor, I'm gonna be on the floor, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna be really mad at you. I'm too young to have back problems. Please, I'm not there yet.
No, this is not really a cosplay and a safety and awareness thing. It's more of just a general cosplay question. I'll start with Colleen. What's that one cosplay that it took you a long time to make, and you went through a lot of trial and error to make it?
For me, that would be my Her Universe design. Technically, it's like a fashion design, not a cosplay, but like if I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna call it a cosplay. So basically I was part of this fashion show that holds place at San Diego Comic-Con. They had it virtual last year. And basically you make geek couture or like luxury fashion based on characters. So I made a luxury fashion design based off of Carmen Sandiego.
I've
That
never seen a photo
like-
of that. Really well done.
Yeah. I feel like after I finished that, like I leveled up as a cosplayer. Like I feel like I just finally got my XP points, and I like reached this new understanding, because that project was so difficult and so hard, and I was like going off of my own design. It was not a canon design. There was no one else on the planet who had made anything like quite like this, so it was so hard. Yes, that's my hardest.
Nice. Same question for you, Kyra. Again, I won't know if this would be based on this topic. What's the one cosplay that took you the longest to make? You went through a lot of trial and error. You had to rebuy something just because, when you finally got it done, something, just didn't seem right.
Ugh. If you guys have like listened to other episodes that I've been in, I answer with Aloy a lot, but the answer is Aloy. she's just like my biggest build to date, and she was like my first contest piece, so like of course she like gets that wonderful spot as like the best and also the worst. I think I spent 9 months on and off putting that costume together, and it was my first time like seriously building something from scratch. Oh man, I must have redone her, and then like after the contests too, I would improve things every single time. So the active work time I put in on this costume must have been over like 3 or 4 years that this costume was continuously improving. Like, I threw her spear in the garbage and printed an entire new one myself, because I didn't like how the guy who I'd hired the first time printed it. I was like, screw it, I'm buying my own printer, I'm printing it myself, I'm repainting the whole thing. It's gonna be collapsible, it's gonna have
it's
great.
collapsible?
It is now. I am so tired of traveling with props that are 5 or 6 feet long, and I have to like go into the hotel and I'm like, hi, here are all my things, and I have to make 20 trips. I've had it.
Jeez,
I'm
I
too
mean,
old and tired
I think
and
that's
cranky.
pretty, that's like a, that's good cost. That's just a tip in general. If you can have a prop that's foldable or
Absolutely.
collapsible, that comes in handy.
I've been really lucky that like up until this point, all the cons I've attended have been like within driving distance.
Mm-hmm.
But like if I ever plan to fly somewhere, I'm trying to keep that in mind now because I'm planning to fly at the end of this year in December, and I just whatever I take better be able to fit in a freaking suitcase.
Oh yeah, especially if you were to travel to like any other, you know, con in the US or out of the country,
Yeah, I have plans to go to Holiday Matsuri. That's in Florida. That's the other side of the
Ooh.
country for me. I have to I have to be able to make it.
Oh yeah, no. Now, again, those who have listened to this, I'm sure if anyone's listened to the interviews, I'll start with Colleen. Any cosplay horror stories you'd like to share that's pertaining to this topic?
Oh gosh, cosplay horror stories.
That's pertaining to the topic.
I can't think of anything more horrifying than not having a wheelchair ramp. So sorry, but that's the worst for me. I'll also say I have a handful of costumes that I literally just cannot go to the bathroom in. Like
Oh god, that is scary.
That's gonna be another question.
I just
I'm gonna
cannot,
ask.
or I need like to basically undo the whole cosplay and then redo it again. Honestly, that's another thing you probably shouldn't do, but like I also shouldn't be con crunching, and yet here we are. So
I mean, the end result turned out really well done.
Mhm.
What was I guess
So
before I move on, what was the hardest piece on your Valentine Day Miss Joke?
on this one, I feel like I did little hearts on the apron. It's kind of hard to see, but there are little
Oh, yeah, you
hearts
can
on the
see those.
apron.
Oh, wow, that's some fine detail.
Yeah. Also my cute and yet cursed heart smiley face. Little cute, little bit cursed.
Cursed. Kyra, I know you're familiar with this question from when we did your interview. I can't remember what you said last time. Cosplay horror story that's pertaining to this topic.
I don't know if it gets much more cursed than Tifa because she was like genuinely falling apart while I was wearing her. I have no idea how the photos came out so good. Like I must have just hired a really good photographer. I mean, besides that, it's probably any costume I've done where I have
Aloy.
yeah, right. I hate to like be saying these words. I hate that these words are coming out of my mouth, but any costume where I've compromised on footwear. So like while I said I've never worn heels, I have, every cosplayer hits the thrift store at some point, and that's usually where I get my shoes, a secondhand off like Poshmark or from the thrift store. And there have been one too many times where like, look at a shoe, and I'm like, I'm a 7.5. That's an 8. That's close enough. Do not compromise on your footwear. There have been several times where I've gone to con and just like blisters and the shoes are just like eating my feet. And
that's like also one way to, if your shoe's bigger than your foot, that's also like a good way of tripping and falling.
Yeah, that's a thing that happens. And they're just, I mean, the good part is like after I was done wearing these costumes, and usually I changed pretty quick, is those shoes came off and they went straight in the garbage. So I would never wear them again.
Hey, that happens. You don't want someone to deal with that pain that you went through.
No, definitely not. Yeah, footwear is its own special scary place.
Oh, I believe it. Going back to what Colleen said, I'll ask you first, Kyra. When you're wearing big build cosplays, how easy is it going to the bathroom? Because I know I've heard many different stories that they've had to take the whole thing off, or they had to face the toilet a different way, or they had to have their friends come in and help them.
My biggest build to date has been Aloy, and yeah, I'm usually in the camp of I have to like halfway strip. So usually I'll have my sister waiting outside the bathroom, and I'll take off my skirt, and I have sewn all of these separate skirt panels to a sash. So I just untie the sash and just give the whole thing to my sister. And then I have to take off the bracers, and I have to take off her utility belt. But once that's done, all I'm left in is like some pants and a shirt, and I can just go to the bathroom as I please. But yeah, it takes a minute to strip down.
Then there's the process of just putting it all back on to make sure everything's all right and everything.
Yeah, it's not difficult per se, but it's definitely okay. All right, you gotta wait here a sec because I have to like
Yeah.
take off the skirt. I have to take off the quiver.
Jeez. Now for you, Colleen, as a disabled cosplayer, have there been like bathrooms you gone to where there's really no wheelchair access at a con?
Thankfully, all the cons I've attended so far are actually in ADA accessible places. So at least within the United States, we have a federal law called the Americans with Disabilities Act, and it states that buildings have to have accessible restrooms and access for people with disabilities. So if your con is at a convention center or a hotel, at least within the United States, they have to have accessible bathrooms. I've been pretty lucky that usually I can get into the accessible bathroom. A lot of people do use it to change costumes. So sometimes I have to like wait, but there's always one there, which is thankful. Now I just choose bad costumes for going to the bathroom. I have a Rock Lee cosplay from Naruto, so it's a full jumpsuit. And furthermore, the legs are covered with leg warmers and the arms are covered with arm wraps. So I can't even like take the jumpsuit off without like
Having to take those off.
yeah. And I have such a hard time with back zips because my shoulders are bad and I can't unzip them myself. And honestly, like at KomoriCon, I was about ready to just like go home, go to the hotel and like change into normal clothes instead of trying to go to the bathroom. Like it was such a struggle. I was like, I could just leave.
I mean, yeah, he wears the he wears the leg things, arm things, the vest, and it's just basically one green piece suit basically.
I just have it as one giant bodysuit, and I can't do the zipper by myself, so I had to have like my husband help with the zip, and then I had like the arm things had to come off and the leg. I basically had to take the whole costume off. Honestly, like I'd like to say I'd learned and I'm going to create more accessible costumes, but I probably won't. But it's definitely something to think about if you can even get in and out of the costume by yourself. There are plenty of times where, because I can't do zippers very well on my own, I've gotten into a cosplay. My husband has left to get groceries or something, and I am like literally stuck in this cosplay until my husband can come home, or I'm going to like pull a shoulder muscle or something. So there's been a few times that I've like literally just had to hang around my house for like a few hours in a costume because like I can't, I'm stuck.
Yeah, it happens. Before before I ask a few more questions, starting with you, Kyra, is there anything you would like to add in onto this specifically for this topic?
I'm trying to think of anything I haven't already ranted about. nothing's like jumping out at me.
Wigs? You haven't ranted about wigs yet.
Yeah, no,
I haven't ranted about wigs.
Might as well.
Yeah, I mean, I could rant about everything. I'm just such a ranty person. Let's be real.
But yeah, a safety and awareness tip, since Colleen brought it up, might as well ask you first. Safety and awareness tip when it comes to wearing wigs, ordering wigs, and styling wigs. Starting with you, Kyra.
Oh, me already. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of in the same camp as like do a cos test, because I've cosplayed Tamari from Naruto, and if you don't know what her hair looks like, she's got like 4 big pigtails in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time,
She the one with the big, she the one with like the fans?
Yeah, she is.
Okay, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, blonde.
And so like, me, little baby cosplayer, really unskilled with wigs. I mean, I'm still not skilled with wigs, but like extra unskilled with wigs. I like got these pigtails up by using straight pins and pinning them straight into the wig. Well, guess what? If I had done a cos test, I would have known that those straight pins jam right into my head. And just, you have to try stuff on. You have to make sure like the wig fits your head circumference. I've found that it's hard for me to order from like epic cosplay wigs sometimes because their wigs don't have as much like give as an Arta wig will. And that's another issue I've found when buying just like any old like $10 cheap wig from Amazon or eBay. Like they definitely have their place, but some of them just like they're so cheap because they have just like a really cheap mesh wig cap and they don't stretch at all.
And
so
sometimes
I've
they're the
definitely
wrong
had,
size.
Yeah. And I've definitely had that issue of like wigs just being too snug and you just get a wig headache. Like, regardless of how your wig fits, whenever you take it off, you're going to give yourself a little head rub and it's going to feel amazing, even if you haven't felt any pain. But if you get a wig headache, it is a special kind of punishment. It's awful. You need to like go sit in the closet in the dark for a few hours. You need to take painkillers. You need to just massage your head. It's horrible. Don't compromise on wigs. Don't compromise on shoes. Don't compromise on fit. Okay, compromise on accuracy. Don't compromise on how your costume feels.
I can say I've done that. I guess I'll add in one of my things, and I'm sure you both will agree on this. Make sure you order the right size cosplay if you're ordering off a website.
Especially if you live in America or Europe and you're ordering from Asia. Let me tell you, I'm like so many X's on their scale, on their size chart. I'm like XXXXXXXL, and I'm like a US medium. I'm like, oh, I'm huge. Crap.
I learned that mistake. I might as well add in my own 2 cents on this. I learned that mistake when I wanted to cosplay Severus Snape from Harry Potter. Like, okay, yeah, the all right, yeah, I ordered the right size. It'll work. His black button-up shirt part that he wears over his white shirt, it didn't button down all the way, and I thought I can use safety pins. Still didn't work.
No.
And and I felt like his, the black robe thing he wears over.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a little bit too long because every time I was walking, I would either step on it or it would almost get stepped on.
Great.
So I guess I figured that's something I'll probably add into myself because I'm familiar with the whole cosplay safety awareness thing. If you're going to order something off online, make sure you order a size to 2 sizes, and if you really have to, 3 sizes up, especially if you're someone like me who's over 6 foot.
Yeah, I have that problem too. Like I'm pretty straight sized as far as my bust, waist, and hip measurements go. But yeah, I'm really tall. And like my bust is on like, this end of the size chart. And then my waist is over here. And then my height's way over here. And I'm like, why is each part of my body in a different section of the size chart? I mean, that's partially why I got into making my own costumes too. I got tired of like buying costumes and I look at it and go, okay, I now have to change half of it. No.
You gotta change. And that's why I have to give, props to those who are on Etsy who do commissions where, unlike an actual like website like Amazon or eBay, where it's just their standard heights, and we can't really do that. We can't make it to your height and weight and everything,
right?
So like you said, either if you're skilled at doing it, make your own cosplays because you know your own measurements, or find someone who commissions cosplays so you can give them the exact measurements so that they can fit it to your height, weight, bust size, whatever.
There are some companies who will take orders and you can enter your custom measurements. I've had pretty good success with that in the past when I was still ordering factory costumes, but even then I ordered one within the last year, put in my custom measurements, and like it did not fit. Like I feel like it's a bodysuit for Yelena Belova from the newer Black Widow movie. And I feel like if I bend over or squat or whatever, I'm gonna bust a seam, and it's gonna hear that. You're gonna hear that down the front.
You're gonna hear that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I can't do this. And then like, not only that, it's made of like a really cheap white fabric. It is see-through. So just like, even if you can enter custom measurements, it's still very much a gamble.
Oh yeah, no, I made that mistake with because I wanted to cosplay as Joel from The Last of Us, and I I ordered from this one. I'm not going to say the name. I ordered from this one wig commissioner. They did a great job the first time I ordered a wig, but I think the reference photos I sent them of Joel's hair and beard, I think kind of got a little miscommunication because when I got his wig was a little too short and the beard didn't fully fit my face. My sister had to help me add in the little bit more extra sideburns to go with the beard and everything.
Oh, that's just a pain.
Yeah, and the shirt I have for Joel, it kind of fits. I can't remember the website I got it from. It was from a licensed website. The shirt fits great, but the arms are a little too tight,
Oh,
especially since his sleeves are rolled up. So I think that's I just think a general. I'm sure you guys would agree. This is like it's kind of basically a cosplay safety thing. Make sure you order the right size and make sure you give the right measurements if you're going to get something commissioned, whether it's a beard prop or even a cosplay, especially a prop, because you may say this is what the weapon looks like, but you'll probably get that weapon, but it's like only like a few inches.
yeah, for sure.
Next thing you know, you're next thing you know, you're going to a con and your orange sword is like 3 feet when his sword is like 6 foot.
Yeah, and you've got your flood pants and your shoulders are too tight and you
Mhm.
can't like.
Oh.
Basically, you're basically like Chris Farley, fat guy in little coat at that point. But I'm sure you can agree with that on both of you. It
Mhm.
would be something to be safe, be aware of, not just aware of, but also safety. Because if you order, if you try to go into the con and something that's not really your size, there's a chance there's a seam, and next thing you know, everyone's seeing your ass.
Yeah, that's if you're lucky too. If you're unlucky, something's pinching or who even knows what horrible things could happen.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now I guess any good experiences when it's come to safety and awareness, starting with you, Colleen. Any good experiences you like to share?
Um, I feel like it's just I've kind of started to choose more cosplays that are just accessible and work with my wheelchair, and like it's been great just having like the first time I made a Supergirl cosplay. I had this huge cape. It was super heavy. It didn't work with any of my mobility aids without like getting in the way. And the bodysuit was like really tight and sweaty, and it had a back zip, which I couldn't do by myself. But then I made another Supergirl cosplay like very recently, and it like fixed all those problems. Like I made the cape smaller, so it wouldn't get in the way of my wheelchair, and I could use it with mobility aids. I made the cape have a harness that snapped on, so if it got caught on anything, it would not strangle me to death.
That's pretty clever. I mean, especially if you're a cosplayer who needs mobility aids. I think that's pretty
Yeah.
clever if you're gonna wear
Well,
like something like a cape.
the big cape would it actually got caught in doors a lot of times. Like I'd be walking out a door and I'd shut it and my cape was still going through the door, and then I'd take a step and it just strangle me. So I decided no more. I'm making a Supergirl cosplay that will not try to kill me. So I have it with snap-ons at my bust, and I just wear it under the top. And then if it pulls on something, it pulls on my bust, and if it pulls hard enough, then the snaps will come off and the cape will just leave.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, and it takes some time, okay? Like
Whether
there
whether
was
you
the
need
Supergirl cosplay before that was awful.
whether you need mobility aids or not, if you're able to work something into your cosplay that
Mhm.
won't cause you harm or damage, go for it. I mean, like Kyra
Yeah.
said, I know you attempted the link shield and everything, which I think is a pretty cool idea.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
definitely a good concept.
Definitely recommend snaps for anything that is hanging off of your costume, especially anything hanging around your neck.
Don't want to
Anytime
strangle
I have,
yourself.
yeah, or even like I have another costume that has neck armor. I also put snaps on it just because like if something catches on it, you don't want to strangle yourself. But then that new Supergirl cosplay, I took out the zip. It's just a crop top. I can put it on by myself. It's a lot more comfortable. So like definitely the biggest like success for me was just getting to come back to that character and make something that I could like was accessible to me and comfortable and safe. So
Nice.
we recommend.
Same question for you, Kyra. Any good experiences when it comes to cosplay safety and awareness?
I'm not sure if there's any one experience so much as it's just
Well,
Like-
I guess some of your favorite experiences, I should say.
favorite experiences. Honestly, I already mentioned it earlier, but probably like Aloy's skirt. I love that it was all one piece. So like if you don't know what Aloy looks like, she has a skirt that's made up of like individual like rectangular panels, and she's got like 7 or 8 of them, and they're all supposed to be tied around her waist with a sash. And the first time I ever wore her out, that's exactly what I did. I ran out of time to sew these panels to a sash, and that was terrible. And so I went home straight after that and sewed them all to a sash. And I just, as much as I like to put details into my costumes, I also am very lazy when it comes to getting dressed. So like she also has a bunch of like leg decorations. And what I did was I got a pair of knee-high boots and sewed all the decorations into the boots. So getting into that costume takes me, 10 minutes,
So,
whereas I've seen other people take 30 plus.
and with your permission, if okay, would I show your picture of your Aloy cosplay on here when this
Yeah,
gets?
absolutely.
And for those who don't know, this is what Aloy Nora Brave looks like. If I think this is the exact one, right?
Oh, hold on. I'm having an issue here. I have many issues, but Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember what the character's name that made it for her, but but that it seems like it took him just like a couple of minutes in game
yeah.
time. But in real life,
must be nice.
so I gotta ask, how did you get the wig and her focus done? That's one thing I'm not sure if I asked in your cosplay interview.
I don't think so. So the wig. Oh no. So I started. The wig was like a two-step process because there was I had some issues with this wig. So the first round, I had a blonde lace front wig because I don't know if you saw in the reference picture, but in game it looks like she's a gradient in her hair. So she's like more brown towards the roots,
And
red
then
towards the middle of her
and
hair,
then blonde at the bottom, yeah.
Right. So, I know that I cannot dye a wig lighter. Great. So I have to start with a light wig and go dark. And I was like, cool, I want to do a blonde wig and I want to, be very particular about this like volcanic red dirt color that she has in her hair. And so I did that with some artist paint and they're like, okay, you put in the dye and then you wash it out. And then once all the dye stops running out, you're good to go. I was like, okay, cool. And I did that and I followed the directions and it came out salmon pink and it was really horrendous. And I ended up trying to do the colors on this wig 3 times. And I'm not kidding. It fried the wig so badly. It became just like this big salmon pink dreaded mess. And so by that point, I put a paper bag over the wig for a week and didn't look at it.
I mean, technically, that would be something to be aware of. When it comes to dyeing your own wigs. I know people do the cooking pot method over their stove.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
so,
do that for dyeing.
So now I'm a synthetic dye person, but I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit scared of like dyeing wigs. So what I did for the second round, the round that actually turned out, was I bought a red lace front wig, and towards the bottom of the wig, I bought some really long blonde wefts from another wig and sewed those in. And then what I did was I cut the red wig short enough that there was almost like a window. So like the red wefts were shorter than the blonde wefts, you could see those. And then towards the top, I sewed in some brown wefts and then ventilated in some specific brown hairs on her hairline.
Yeah, no, her
And then
wigs. Go ahead, sorry.
And then the focus, that was another mistake I made. Okay, listen, don't like put wires on your face. I've seen some people put wires around like the cap of their wigs. I don't know what happens. That looks horribly painful, but I used like this teeny little jewelry wire to make her focus. And I just jammed it into like a little, triangle of foam. And I got the biggest headache from this teeny little wire. Like, it was horrible. Don't use wires on your face, guys. Don't do it. So ultimately what I've ended up using is I got a 3D print file. And so it has a nice plastic loop that goes over my ear. And it is a plastic focus. It's not foam and wire anymore. But that's what that looks like now. It is 3D printed.
It's really well done. I mean, I know in the game, she just like puts the focus right by her and that's it.
Yeah, it just like
but I know in real life,
magnetizes to her face. I don't know how she does it.
I know in real life you can't do that unless you want to like get that spirit gum and do that, but then there's the chance if your focus just falling off.
Ugh, I hate spirit gum. It's such a pain in my butt.
I mean, if you're gonna have to when you buy from experience, who's someone who's actually worn beards before for Simon, Joel, and McCree from Overwatch, spirit gum is it's not as bad. And if you I do recommend anyone who does get spirit gum, buy spirit gum remover as well, because
Yeah.
there's that chance of the spirit gum residue being all over your face. I've made that mistake quite a
Oh
few
yeah,
times.
just taking at it for days after.
Yeah, just the dry spirit gum when you just rip the beard or mustache off. It's one advice I will give if you're gonna wear a beard. Even with my Simon one, the Simon beard I bought, it was one of those beards that had like the sticky stuff on the other side already. But since it would fall off, my sister just basically helped put some spirit gum to add some extra stickiness to it, so it wouldn't like fall off or anything. Same with the eyebrows that I wore for Simon, just spirit gum over my eyebrows and then just stick the eyebrows on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So I guess the last thing is I'll go to Colleen. Any last minute advice you just want to throw out there in general?
Take cosplay accuracy, toss it in the trash can.
Yep.
It's okay to want to be accurate, but when your health is at stake, into the trash it goes. That's my final words of wisdom to all of you.
Yeah, no, I can't argue that. I mean, I know people. I've heard people will do like an extensive research by watching the movie, play the game, just to make sure they get it fully accurate. I'm sure with you, Kyra, who's a big fan of Horizon Zero Dawn, you had to definitely make sure you got everything right for your Aloy cosplay.
Yep. And I was very particular about which substitutes I made. That costume is not made of suede. Let me tell you that.
I think you were trying to tell me you were like trying to find the right material that kind of matched the one that she wears.
Yeah, it's furniture velvet.
Really?
I saw some people spend triple digits on like just the base fabric, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
I think it's like
Absolutely
animal
not.
hide. I think it's like what animal hide or something she wears.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. No. I got like 7 yards of this fabric for $30. I was like, oh, that has my name on it.
You just see a ray of light shining down, and it's just big lights that says that by me.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
Any last minute advice you like to throw out there for those who are listening, who are don't know how to be safe or aware of their of when it comes to cosplaying?
Yeah, I think I have to agree with Colleen. Definitely, like, do not focus too much on accuracy. And yeah, like I said, travel with a group, listen to your body. Don't use sports tape to bind. Please don't do it. I have scars. Don't do it.
I mean, I when it comes down to it, when it comes to cosplay, you're your own worst critic.
Isn't that the truth?
I think that's the one common thing I've heard on this series in general is, you don't really care what other people think. You're more like, do I like it? This is something I want to wear to a con, or
no, absolutely,
or even show in front of like hundreds of people on a stage for a contest. Right. I imagine you both have been there before with that.
Yeah. I guess I'll kind of riff on what Colleen was saying about like cosplay accuracy. I guess to take it a step further, whenever you're comfortable with it, definitely explore like making your own modifications to costumes. I've just started doing that more recently, and let me tell you, cosplay has become a lot more fun. Like Aizawa, even just this costume, he wears just like plain black knee-high boots, and I was like, that's great and all, but I could do better. So I got the same shoe, but they lace all the way to the knees, and it's just a tiny little detail, but you know what? I like it. And even just like his utility belt, a lot of people make it, it's like a single flat piece of foam. I went and bought like a police utility belt, and I painted it to match, and those are just my own little details that I've added, and
impressive.
It just makes the costume.
Was that a sticker or a pin on the belt?
Oh, this is a pin in reference to his childhood friend Shirakuma Obara.
Loud. Wait, did it say Loud Cloud?
Yeah, it does. That was his hero name before he got, squished by a building. So anyone who knows what this is has been utterly horrified to see
Leave
it
a
on my
leave a like
costume.
leave a like or a comment in this video if you get that reference. I'm not familiar with My Hero Academia. And I do again appreciate you both wanting to cosplay for this because it kind of does match the theme of this, So again, thank you. And
Yeah, for sure.
I think that should about do it. Again, Colleen and Kyra, thank you for wanting to come on to talk about this panel and everything. This is more just be one of those one-off panels. And again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to contact them. Links will be in the description below. So
Yeah, thanks for having me.
of course.
Thank you.
Again, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Thank you for listening to this Cosplay Con Talk podcast panel. Until next time, thank you for watching.